Okay, so don't let the upcoming election fool you. That colder, darker feeling that you're getting really is the U.S. rolling back an hour on the clocks and the weather getting colder. That being said, with a chill in the air, what does November have in store for us? And what is the best option strategy to be utilizing this week and even this month? Well, we're going to pull back the ballot box and count them off for you, so let's go. Hey everyone, Tom Gentile. Welcome to Tom's Trading Room, where on this channel we learn to spot opportunity and create low risk or high probability strategies other than simply buying and holding stocks. I got a new report for you to look at. It's called a presidential election cycle, and all you have to do is to get that report, just click below in the description by the video. Guys, we got a lot to cover, so let's get indoors, get into the podcasting room, and get started. Okay, so I want to talk about four things here real quick while I have the time. We're going to talk about the stock markets. We're going to go through these charts. I want to look at the money counter and see what it has to say for November. I want to look at pre-computed stock option rankings. I want to see what's expensive and what's cheap out there in terms of options. And then finally, we're going to go back to the money counter, and I'm going to show you a little shortcut that I use to determine what is the best option to take on a particular stock. What's the best option strategy? So let's get started. S&P 500 here. Big time lows down here at 300. This is a support level back in June. Resistance we see at around 358. We're in a box right now, trading inside of a box here. I think the election has to we have to have some sort of result before we trade above or below the box that you see. What's been happening, however, is we're seeing readings. We're seeing this red line here, implied volatility readings. Option premiums are as high as they have been in months ahead of the election. That is probably the major concern that's kind of over the markets, hanging over the market's head right now. The others that I want to look at real quickly, the bond market. Well, bond market is created this series of lower highs and lower lows, and look what's happened in the bonds. The implied volatility has just shot through the roof. All right, we have not seen volatility readings like this since spring, as the bond market's trading all the way down, TLT down here in the 150s right now. And so we've seen 172, but this could be a big setup for a spike to happen to the upside or the downside. What could bring it to the upside? Traders finally fleeing back into bonds and out of stocks. But really what's happening is this downside move is just because a lot of traders just looking at the Fed saying, what else can they do? And that's why we're seeing this kind of flowing outflow that's happening from TLT. Look at UUP. This is where the money's going. It's going into cash, but it's not pushing it really high right now. But we are off the lows that occurred not only 2 weeks ago, but even off the lows in August. And we're approaching some resistance that we saw toward the end of September. We might get above that within the next couple of days, especially if we don't know who is going to be in the White House come January 20th. Right? The longer that lasts, I think the farther this move happens to the upside. One particular commodity that has been going down as of late has been USO. Since we hit Labor Day weekend, oil has fallen off I can tell you USO's fallen off a good 20%. We had a good day today, kind of a rebound that's actually occurred tried it on Thursday. It failed on Friday, but we're back again, and we're going to be hitting some resistance here real soon. But I believe the overall picture for oil is bleak. And not just bleak because of maybe what the Democratic policy is on fossil fuels, but bleak because we're heading into winter. We're seasonally bearish in crude and oil stocks as well. All right, now let's take a look at the money counter and see what it has to say heading into November. It actually looks pretty interesting. The week we're in right now, which is election week, we're seeing us go from mostly bullish opportunities that by the end of the week, we see more bears than we see bulls. All right, after that, things change. And I think based on what the outcome of the election and how that goes, the narrative could change from who's going to be in the White House to when will holiday sales start. Retail stocks have been getting a good bump up recently, and that could be the beginning of what we could see as a retail buying binge that could start as early as mid-November. And of course, when we run into the last week in November, where we have Thursday, the Thanksgiving holiday on the 26th, and we start seeing Black Friday sales come through, Super Saturday, Cyber Monday, and the works, this is going to be good for retail, especially with what a year retail has had. All right, if anything, it could be just a bounce, but that bounce should be in favor of retail stocks. Now, finally, let's take a look at pre-computed rankings. These are pre-computed rankings based on options. So what we do is we take the temperature of options, and we take a 1 year options implied volatility chart. We look at where it is, the 1 year low is, the 1 year high, and where are we now? So take a look at Alibaba for a moment. This is an expensive ranking, and right now we're ranking it as one of the most expensive optionable stocks right now because the high over the last year has been 61.59, the low 22.25. This is where we're currently at. We're trading at 51. We're closer to 61 than we are to 22, and that's what gives it the number one spot. Look at the top 10. Alibaba, PayPal, Guggenheim, Biogen, Perrigo, Arena Pharmaceuticals, Everbridge, Cryoport, Emergent Biosolutions, and Stamps.com. What do these all have in common? Well, they have IV ranges, these volatility ranges that are expensive. They're very big right now. So when I look at these, the ones that I want to write down just off the bat are obviously Alibaba, symbol BABA. All right, the other one I want to look at is PayPal, PYPL. Let's hold right there and let me go to the cheaper option. So I'm going to click on cheap for 1 year. And here's what we got going on the cheap side. All right, do you see anything here that catches your eye? Take a look at INPHI. The high, 105.59, the low, 33.93, and look where it is right now, 34.84. This on a range is near, it's the stock that is the cheapest in volatility, the cheapest in option prices compared to where it's been over the last year. Now we come along and we come down here, we see Axum Therapeutics, Neo, Mirati, Antaps Bio, Primo Water, Arrowhead Research. Here's one, Overstock.com. There's one that pops up right away. So OSTK, remember this is the stock that trades with Bitcoin. But OSTK. Now let's take these three stocks, and I haven't done this yet, all right? But let's go back to the money calendar, and I'm actually going to the app. And I'm going to go to the app, and the first thing I'm going to look for is BABA. And there's BABA, and I want to look and see where is it. I'm just going to click real quick. Where does it look? All right, within the next 10 days, going back 10 years, looking at the top 10 results. We'll look at 10, 10, and 10. All right, I'm going to hit that show button one more time, and we can see that there is a 100% reading on Alibaba within 10 days from now. That is a 10-day chart. So not starting today or tomorrow, but starting next week, Alibaba starts to look like a bullish opportunity. Right? So that's one to look at. The second one we want to look at is PayPal, PYPL. Now that's going to be down the chart a little ways. And another thing I can do is I can just type it in, and it'll bring it up to me very quickly. But here we go, PYPL, there it is. And let me click on show with PayPal. And we see 75 to 100% moves to the upside. Some of these are starting within a couple of days from now, and some of them are not starting until 10 days later. But if you take a look at, for instance, let's take a look at the first one. All right, it's a 22-day pattern. It actually starts on November 13th, and it gives me all the details here, how well it has done over the last 10 years, and what are my expectations. Well, last year it did extremely well, as PayPal has really just kind of come into its own. And even though it seesawed from up to a higher high and then closed up at its higher high, has actually done very well here when looking at PYPL. Remember, PayPal's not been around very long as a publicly traded stock. Finally, let's look and see if we can find Overstock, and that is OSTK. We might not even have this one in here, but there's only one way to find out. We take a look here, and it turns out that OSTK is not within our money calendar stocks. Why? Well, because either A, we don't have enough data to actually give ourselves a true reading, or B, it may be outside of what we look for liquidity in terms of stocks and option prices themselves, right? So when you take a look at a PayPal and you take a look at Alibaba, etc., well, Alibaba is, if it's a bull, and we looked at it already, if Alibaba is a bull, let me just bring up BABA one more time. You can see it right here. If Alibaba is a bull, which we determined that it is, and if Alibaba is in the pre-computed rankings, let me bring it back up again for you, as the most expensive optionable stock right now. I don't want to buy calls on Alibaba. No way. I want to be looking at selling puts or selling some sort of a credit spread. All right, a bullish credit spread, because what we've determined is, A, we've determined that we have some seasonal bullishness that happens, all right, later in the month of November, and B, the best way to take advantage of this particular pattern with expensive options is to sell premium. So in summary, it may be a few days or even a few weeks before the outcome of the election is determined. All right, the other thing I want to do is I want to keep my powder dry, and I'm looking to sell because of all of this high volatility. I'm looking to sell premium. And then finally, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or even an independent, when it comes to my financial future, no president has really directly affected my back pocket. That was all on me. So I want to think like an independent when it comes to my financial future. All right, guys, hey, if you liked the video, show me some love and hit that like button below. Also, subscribing to our videos. If you subscribe and hit the bell, you will be notified as soon as the next one's updated. And I'll see you then. Bye now.